You talk about articulating the big vision, really, of the church, and many organizations worry about these sort of secondary concerns. But we do need to focus on purpose, as you articulated in the book many times. How can churches and organizations do that?
I think one of the main ways, and we talk about this in the book as well, and then we also have a follow-on free short course that people can take on the book website that helps you. It talks about the importance of setting big goals. Mm-hmm. I think that setting good goals is really, I think, something that's missing in a lot of layers of the church. We have a mission statement, which is usually pretty broad and pretty vague. Mm-hmm. And so you don't really know for sure, did we achieve it? Are we achieving it? When will we achieve it? And that's okay. A vision or mission statement often is giving more of that visionary long-term perspective of what we're trying to do. But then we have kind of our day-to-day stuff that comes in, and we usually get consumed with, and we can get consumed by the urgent rather than the important. We sort of just trying to keep up from drowning from all the responsibilities or all the activities we think we need to do. But what's missing from a leadership and communication perspective are often these big goals that live somewhere in the middle. What are we trying to achieve as a group right now, as a community? What's meaningful for us and concrete that we're trying to do in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years that we're trying to achieve? And how can we make that more concrete? So that's something we give some tips on how to do that a little bit better. Because when you make it concrete, and I give the example in there of when JFK said, we're going to go land someone on the moon this decade and bring them back safely. That's a concrete thing. You know whether you've achieved it. And it's something that's just outside of our reach, but it's possible. You can conceive that it's possible because we can see how this might happen. And then we did it, in less time. But you knew when we did it, it was inspiring. It got everybody moving, and it got people unified at working on something. And a lot of times in the church now, you feel like every ministry is kind of doing their own thing, spinning their, going in a different direction. And we don't really have something that unifies us as a community of something we're trying to do together. And if you look at the things that, that are often, because people, a lot of times I'll hear leaders in the church say, well, people just they're so apathetic now. They're not responsive. They're so distracted. And that's true about certain things, but they're super hyper focused and very energetic about some things. And if you look at what those things are, whether it's their politics or a TV show that they're interested in, or, some celebrity they're following or something they're doing, you'll see these other qualities where there's something clear they're trying to achieve or do or change in the world that they care about. And then second, the leaders communicated what's at stake, which is another sort of fundamental principle that we often forget to communicate in the church, is like, what's at stake if we achieve this goal? Does it matter? If we don't achieve it, what happens? Is it bad? Is it good? It's not always clear. We don't always talk about what's at stake. And when there's not much at stake, people aren't going to put much into it. They're not going to put that much energy into it. But when a politician, rightly or wrongly, communicates to somebody that something big is at stake if we lose this election, people rally around it. They donate their money. They donate their time. They talk about it with their friends. They read books about it. They learn all about it, and they debate it with people because they care about what's at stake. But when it comes to our faith, somehow that doesn't happen. Well, it's because we haven't communicated to them that there's anything that meaningful at stake. And if there's not anything that meaningful at stake, then people react accordingly, and they invest accordingly with their time and their money and sacrifices and all of that kind of stuff. And so one of the quotes that always comes to mind when I talk about this is C.S. Lewis's, where he says that Christianity is either of no importance or of infinite importance. And the one thing that it can't be is moderately important. But when you walk into our parishes, when you hear our communications, when you're engaged with something in the church, it very often feels moderately important. And if something's moderately important today, people are not, it doesn't make it to the top of their list of things to do. There's too many other competing things that are really urgent and important right now, and it's just not going to make it. And so we see it shift to the back burner for people in their lives. It becomes secondary. It's just something they do on Sunday. It's something they try to get their kids to do if they can. It's something that's nice to happen if we can make it work with the rest of our lives. But when it's infinitely important and something big is at stake, which there is, then it becomes the center of your life.
Yeah.
And you can sacrifice everything for it. And everything else in your life revolves around it. And that's the shift that we have to help people make, but we're not often communicating in that way.